not racist. What is it? The fact that you would say just weeks ago to Senator Faruqi, piss off back to Pakistan, you're not just vindictive, mean, nasty, you bring disgrace to the human race.
America is having an identity crisis at a time where the country is more divided than ever over immigration, over borders, over national identity, and who gets to call themselves real Americans. A simple historic question, and a very simple historic fact is suddenly making people very furious. Most white Americans have ancestral root in Europe. That shouldn't be the controversial. It's history. But in today's political climate, even basic facts about ancestry can spark outrage, millions of views online, and heated arguments across the social media. But why? Because this debate isn't really about where people came from. It's about who belongs, who gets to define America, and why so many people are very uncomfortable when history enters the conversation. So without wasting much time, let's talk about it.
I don't know where you're at in the UK. You're from India, so I don't really...
I'm not from India.
Oh, sorry, your parents are from India, so...
I'm an American
you have
citizen.
your own states.
I'm an American, you know.
You're an American citizen?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know how you got that, but fair enough. Here's the thing.
Are you an American citizen?
Absolutely. But here's the
Not
thing.
sure how you got that.
Born here.
Okay.
Born here, in my family lineage is settlers from the 1500s, so I have some stake in the claim here, okay?
But you're
a little different.
You're
than
a
yours.
descendant of immigrants. Settlers.
I didn't know.
Colonialists.
Yeah,
You don't
colonials.
look
yeah.
very Native American to me.
I am Native American. Whites
not.
are Native Americans. What are you
Sorry.
talking about?
You're not.
What are you talking about?
You're not.
Whites are Native Americans.
Really?
I think
What was
you're-
happening before the 1500s?
I think you're getting confused with it.
I don't mind going on a tangent, but what was happening before the 1500s?
Calm down. I think you're getting...
What was happening before the 1500s?
There was indigenous people here that came here from
Do you know what
Asia.
indigenous means?
I think sometimes we really forget how the hate that we often see on this app from Europeans to Americans really began, right? Because you'll see, like, they'll spew hate, they're like whatever, and then it's always like, oh well, your government, oh well, your government, blah blah blah, and then Americans go like, yeah, our government, don't worry, we hate them too, right? But that's not it. Okay, that's not it, because I think a lot of y'all forget that this country was built by people who were already hated and being treated subhuman by Europeans. Okay, the Italians that came over from Italy were mostly Southern Italians, and Southern Italians have been historically horrendously treated by the north of Italy, right? Sicilians have been horrendously treated by the north of Italy. My family are Sephardic Jews who were driven out of Spain, Portugal, at the time of the Inquisition, that have been on this land since long before it was even American soil. It was Nueva España. The Irish, the Scottish, this country was built by people who were mostly treated horrendously by Europeans. So they've always had a good excuse for their hate. But they have been hateful long before we even had a US government. Y'all want to talk about racism in the US, but you never want to talk about the fact that Black people are here in the first place, taken away from their homeland because of European slave trade. You would think the fact that they treated those people absolutely horrendously, those people left and built a country that can now kick their ass, would mean something. But no, still hateful. It's embarrassing for y'all, and what's even more embarrassing is when I see videos at the murmurs of World War III and y'all going like, oh, well, don't worry, where's the US military? Let's just send the US military and they'll solve it. Yeah, a little embarrassing for you guys, don't you think?
Why are Europeans complaining all of a sudden when Americans refer to Europe as Europe? Europe is not one country. Duh, it's a continent. But I mean, you can still talk about a continent. And if you go to France and say, wow, Europe is beautiful, that's valid because Europe is beautiful and France is beautiful and France is in Europe. So stop being a bitch and stop nitpicking. You can go to Latin America and say, wow, Latin America is beautiful. You don't have to be like, oh, Colombia particularly is beautiful. Like if we go down to that, then you can't speak about a country itself because there's countries that have several different regions that change from each other. Like the north of Spain is so different from the south. And if you go to the United States, like Florida is not going to be the same as Hawaii or Alaska. So stop being a bitch.
African Americans came from Africa. Asian Americans came from Asia. Native Americans are natively from North America, and European Americans came from Europe.
Go back to your country. Well, what if we did? Imagine if every black and brown person went back to their country of origin, discovered by whatever means. Here's what would happen in the first 30 days. Stick around for day 30, cause that's when the truth really lands. Day 1. Hospitals, buses, supermarkets, construction sites, thousands of essential workers gone overnight. Services collapsed before the morning rush. Days 2 to 4, headlines are screaming, labour shortage crisis! Schools close early, warehouses back up, food deliveries stall. Parents scramble, and businesses, they start panicking like mad. Days 5 to 7, the government hold emergency meetings, like that's gonna help. Recruitment drives fell, because there's not enough skills left in the country. Immigration police, once hostile, suddenly start looking desperate. Meanwhile, communities abroad are starting to welcome back their doctors, engineers and teachers. Days 8 to 12, the media run frantic, start running think pieces like, what if they never come back? Stock market dips, inflation spikes, and racists who once said go back start to complain. Who's gonna run our trains? Who's gonna clean our hospitals? Like that's all we do. Days 13 to 17, the supply chain jams. Crops rot in the fields, supermarkets ration their stock, and protests erupt in major cities as prices climb and services are broken. Days 18 to 21, the Western economy buckles and investors start to pull their money abroad. Skilled workers start to build, sparking growth across Africa, Asia, the Caribbean and Latin America. Reverse brain drain is underway. Hashtag. Days 22 to 25, corporate leaders start admitting the obvious. We depended on them. Politicians try spin the thing, but the public ain't buying it, and confidence in the government crumbles. Now who's clapping for crumbs? It's 26 to 29, the chaos deepens. Airports still half empty, hospitals still understaffed, businesses shutting down left, right and centre. And now, commentators start saying the quiet part out loud. We asked them to leave, and now we're paying the price. Day 30, a month later, and the insult collapses under its own weight. Black and brown communities aren't the burden, they're the backbone. And now the Western world just proved it. They said go back, and in just 30 days, the irony was clear. But that's just the first month. If you want to know what happens in the first year, drop a comment below. And follow if you're done watching passively. We decode the myth, and we don't clap for crumbs.
If Europe wasn't Instagrammable, no one would care about any of these countries. Let me set one thing straight on Americans who visit Europe. They want to go to do a couple things. Look at nice architecture, eat good food, and take pictures in front of the aforementioned two. But beside these points, and maybe like museums or whatever, you go to Europe as an American and you're genuinely treated like shit, and it's so disrespectful. And this isn't to neglect the positive experiences I've had, which are plenty in many European countries. Location change, but as someone who travels with one of my main goals being to interact with local people and to have those memorable experiences, to make friends, it's really frustrating when I'm somewhere like minding my own business, being polite, like, and people just have this insane rude attitude to you for literally no reason other than your accent. And I have to say, like, especially in recent years when I've been traveling, the places I've been where I've really enjoyed the most are the places where people have been the nicest to me, and that has not been anywhere in Europe, except for Greece, low-key. But Places like Saudi, people were super nice to me. Shout out to the friends I made there. Egypt, people were super nice to me. Tunisia, people were super nice. And that like really made me enjoy the experience that much more. I get that tourists can be a lot and like American tourists aren't the most considerate or like well-rounded, but I just don't think that's any justification to be treating some random person who didn't do anything to you in a rude manner. In fact, where I'm from, if you're treating people just based on their nationality, that's just called discrimination. I don't know, I'm just over the tone. Like, Europe needs to check it. You take the pretty buildings and the good food away and sorry, like no one gets a crowd.
I take my child to the playground and every single other child at the playground is speaking a foreign language to their parent. My child is the only child at the playground that's speaking English. And I'm surrounded by people that are being told, oh, this is a great multicultural diversity, and it just means less white people, less white culture, and ultimately we're going to turn into global South Africa. And I will fight to stop that from happening. I had family in South Africa. I'm not letting it happen here. And so I'm trying with all my might to be peaceful and reasonable and political, but we have to protect white Australia. We have to.
Literally don't know where to start. There's so many things to destroy in this argument. Oh my gosh, boo-hoo. Oh, your child's the only person who speaks a different language from all the other people around them. Sounds insensitive to say it like that, right? You can't be like, oh, Australia has to be literally just all white and I don't like it that my child goes to the playground and no one speaks the same language. No, you know what? Instead of upgrading and being more inclusive and understanding, hey, this is my culture, this is your culture, let's come together. No. How about your culture just leaves, okay? So everyone looks and sounds like me. Because I don't want it to look like South Africa. That's what he said. Keep in mind the apartheid and all that other stuff that happened. It's almost like it was the black people's land. And then the white dudes went over there and did their thing and took it over. Nelson Mandela and all that stuff happened. And then he's saying, I don't want it to be like that. He's basically inferring that the South Africans had land, they had power, and then they lost it to the blacks, even though it was their land to begin with. Ironic that it's sort of like the same mindset that he has with Australia. It was indigenous peoples, and then the white people got it, occupied it, and now he's angry that it's becoming diverse and multicultural, which is not even to the degree he's saying. Look, everyone should live in harmony. Some places have more white people, some places have more black people, okay? It's okay to have different cultures. We're not trying to take it from you. And if we were, rightfully so, you couldn't even be mad because you took it from someone else. Or goes around, comes back around, or karma. Even not that I believe in karma, but you get what I'm saying. Imagine saying that. Oh, I'm gonna walk little Timmy. Oh my gosh, no one's black around here. Oh, it's the government's fault. And you know what? Even though it's the government's fault, I actually hate it that everyone's speaking a different language than this language, okay? Our language is the best language. It's the superior one. And I don't like it that we don't have our own place. So all you other families who have come from hardship, all the other families come from hardship and have had a tough time migrating and assimilating, guess what? I actually don't think you belong here, even though this is pretty much stolen land. And you know what? I feel unfairly done. Yes, it was taken from you, but I want my people to have it. Talk about the irrational mindset.
You know, I'll never forget the day a white buddy of mine said black people don't deserve equality because they could never get enough. And that's true. White people are actually scared of equality. That's just how racist we are as a people. And it's not just that one person. White culture in general. Probably I would say most white people, when they hear the word equality, they fear that white people will be oppressed because brown, black, and indigenous people might actually get what's fair and just. That's just how racist we are. And we're so obsessed with the idea of not having equality in America for black, brown, and indigenous people that we don't have healthcare, that we don't have economic equality. We don't have reasonable gun laws. Our liberties are being stripped because we have a fascist, racist, white supremacist regime in office because we are so scared of equality. We're so scared that black and brown folks might become the majority one day. That we had a black president and now we've got to have a white supremacist president. That's how scared we are of equality. That's how racist we are as a people. Go to the fucking root. The root of America's problems. The root of the white man and the white woman, their problems, and America and the world. If you think about it, colonialization, white supremacy, the mentality of white people today. Not just yesterday, today, right now. The denial, racially, the silence, the apathy, the continuous gaslighting, all that fucking shit. That's ruined us. It's ruined white people, and it's ruining our nation. And whose fault is it? White people's fault. Their inability to fucking fix their goddamn problem. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we try will fail. It's dysfunctional and it's toxic, and Trump and this regime is the perfect proof of all that shit. How we got in this fucking mess? White people's bullshit. White people's racist fucking bullshit. Period.
Yeah, welcome back again to my channel, and right now, folks, immigration is one of the biggest political issues in America. Political leaders, commentators, and activists are constantly debating who should be allowed into the country, how secure the border should be, and what it means to be American. At the same time, social media is filled with videos of people criticizing immigrants while celebrating their own version of American identity. That's where the irony enters the conversation. Historians point out that unless someone is indigenous to North America, eventually every American family has roots somewhere else. But for millions of Americans whose roots lead back to Europe, whether their ancestry came from England, came from Germany, came from Ireland, Italy, Poland, or elsewhere, they arrived as immigrants at some point in history. That is not an option. It's a historical fact. And recently, many online creators, educators, and commentators have been highlighting that fact during a discussion about immigrants and national identity. The reaction have been very, very intense. Some people agree and say America has always been a nation shaped by migration. So others became very angry because they feel these reminders are being used to compare the ancestral experiences with modern immigration debates. This is where today's political climate makes everything explode. Supporters are stricter immigrants. Policies often argue that today's challenges are different from those faced by earlier generations. Meanwhile, critics argue that some Americans forget their own family history when discussing newcomers. But the result, a never-ending online battle. One side says history matters, and the other side says the comparison isn't fair. And social media turns every disagreement into a viral spectacle. What's fascinating is how identity has changed over time. When Irish immigrants first arrived in large numbers, many faced discriminations. The same happened to Italians, Eastern Europeans, and other groups that today are often considered part of mainstream American society today. Over generations, these communities became woven into the American story. Today, many descendants of those immigrants simply identify as American. They don't think about Europe every day. They don't speak the language their ancestors spoke. America is the only home they know. So, when someone says, your family came from Europe too, some hear a historical fact. Others hear an attempt to challenge their identity. And that's why emotions run so high. Because in modern America, identity isn't just personal anymore. It's political. Every conversation about history quickly becomes a conversation about race, about immigration, about culture, about voting, about power, name them. The debate we're seeing today reflects a much large struggle happening across the country. Americans are trying to answer a very, very difficult question. What does it actually mean to be American? Is it ancestry? Is it culture? Is it citizenship? Or is it even shared values? Or some combination of all of them? That's the real issue underneath all the viral argument. Not Europe, not ancestry, not even immigration alone. It's the ongoing fight over Americans' identity in a rapidly changing nation. Whether people like it or not, Americans' history is a story of movement, migration and change. The current argument happening across social media they aren't really about where people ancestors came from. False. They are about, and judging by the reaction we're seeing online, people are judging. People came with their own opinions. That conversation is far from over. So, false. What do you think? Should reminding Americans about their ancestral origins be seen as a simple history lesson? Or has the topic become a political weapon in today's culture wars? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you enjoy thoughtful commentary on the biggest culture and political debates shaping America today, kindly consider subscribing and join the conversation because the stories making people angry today often reveal the biggest truth about the country tomorrow's. So folks, I'll catch you in the next one, and please consider subscribing to my channel.